Okay, so it happened. Just tell me you're not, tuning in to go, running some sort of lap or whatever around the process. I think almost everybody, myself included, had accepted this as a foregone conclusion for some time now. It was just a matter of when and how much, damage theoretically would get done by him putting it off and putting it off and putting it off. If you haven't heard, Aaron Rodgers has made known his intention to sign with the Steelers next week in advance of the mandatory minicamp. The minicamp begins Tuesday. The contract that he is expected to sign will be for 1 year. That is all of the actual hard information that's available, meaning there's not, money terms or anything else like that at the moment. And there it is. There's no debate. He instantly becomes number one. Because you don't bring somebody like that in and say, hey, go ahead and duke it out with Mason Rudolph or Will Howard or whatever. He's number one. Mason's number two. And Will Howard, as I've been telling you all along, was expected to be and is going to be the three. They want him to have a year whenever he is, he's learning, he's getting smarter and better and everything else. And I'm here to take your questions, comments, criticisms, and whatever else. Chris Halleck will be joining us a little bit later than usual today because he was heading home from Steelers minicamp. Then this happened. He got word of it from a source. He pulls off to the side of the road and makes sure that he gets the story on top of our app and website, the DK Pittsburgh Sports app and website, which you really, at this point, you'd better be checking out. And so it's going to take him a little bit longer to get home. I have one preemptive strike to make on this front. And this is courtesy of Kyler Michael, who says, now we get behind Rodgers and cheer on the Steelers. This thing that happens where everybody debates stuff and gets into it and everything, and then the moment the player is actually signed or the Steelers have made their decision, it's now time for everybody to just rally behind the one thing. Oh man, I'm sorry. That goes against human nature. If you believed past tense, meaning more than an hour ago, that Rodgers wasn't the right fit for the Steelers, what happened in the past hour to make you think that he was? Why should you change your stance on it? That doesn't mean you want him to fail. It doesn't mean you want him to get hurt or anything, crazy like that. But it does mean that this idea that you're supposed to just magically alter your stance, and that's it. Now it's kind of, like after primary elections in one party or the other, where they go at it like cats and dogs for months, and then the election is over, and it's all of a sudden it's like, all right, everybody's now in favor of the one. No, they aren't. There's going to be a lot more to this. My feel on this is that this quarterback, this four-time MVP, this 41 going on 42-year-old National Football League player hoping to extend who knows what his motivation is here because he hasn't spoken to it. He has a lot to show Pittsburgh. He has a lot to show his new coaches and teammates. That onus is on him. That onus isn't on any of us. Okay? He's the one that needs to come in. And how did Cam Hayward put it not that long ago when he was asked about Rodgers? He said something like, does he want to be a Steeler or not? And then Cam walked that back and everything. But does he want to be a Steeler or not? Does he want to help these guys? Does he want to lead? He has to be a leader. He has to be the leader on offense. I mean, like the day he walks through the doors, he has to be the leader. Does he want to be that guy? And if so, why? What's his motivation? Is it, well, I won a Super Bowl a long time ago. It happened to be against this franchise, but I don't want to end my career without winning another one. Let's hear what the actual thing is here. It can't be money. My God, the guy's made so much money. I mean, to his credit, he's earned it all, okay? But I want to hear what his motivation is. I want to hear about his pending connection with teammates. I want to see and sense around him when I'm over there at the facility next week. How's he going to be interacting? Is he going to have his nose in the air, or is he going to be somebody who, continues to sustain the reputation that he did, by the way, develop in East Rutherford, New Jersey with the Jets? And that is that he actually was seen as somebody that his teammates liked and respected and everything else. So go right ahead and do that. Go right ahead. Show it to us. Show it to us. Show us that you're the quarterback. David Schaefer says you should root for the Steelers regardless of who's talking about not rooting for the Steelers. Just totally made that up. Like what actually is that, David? Bread Guys Golf says Rodgers is our QB1. Let's give the man the benefit of the doubt. He has a long track record. So this isn't like good, bad, whatever. This isn't like giving the benefit of the doubt to Will Howard, who's on the rise and whatever else. Okay. Will Howard essentially comes in with a completely clean NFL slate. But Mr. CJ says he'd better produce and keep his mouth shut. He's not gonna do the latter. He's not. He's a guy who finds the cameras. He's a guy who's gonna be after a Steelers game, he's gonna be on somebody's show, podcast, whatever, and he's gonna be talking to them about something that he probably shouldn't be airing out in public. And we're all going to go, whoa, did you hear what Rodgers had to say? That's what you get with him. That's not new. He was able to do that in Green Bay, Wisconsin, a city that's roughly the size of, I don't know, North Versailles. And he was able to get attention in Green Bay. He's going to get it wherever it is that he goes. Logan says, I've loved Aaron Rodgers from the start for the Steelers. He's a perfect one-year option. DK, I love you, but you're too hardcore on Mason, and I don't want to make you mad. Why would you make me mad? We're exchanging football opinions. My opinion, by the way, as it relates to Mason Rudolph, and I'm not the only one who happens to have this, is he is never going to have more starts in an NFL season than the one he's about to have. That's not me wishing ill upon anything. It's not me making, some sort of grand prediction or whatever. But the human body and extensive precedent for the human body in the National Football League will tell you Rodgers isn't going to be healthy over 17 games. I know he played in all 17 for the Jets last season, but you need to go and look at all the injuries that he played through, how often he was basically shooing athletic trainers away because he didn't want to find out how bad he was hurt. That's to his credit. But you're not going to see 17 games out of him. You're going to see a lot of games out of Rudolph. You're going to see a different kind of season and a different kind of preparation and everything else that goes into that. If the Steelers are banking or they're setting up their camp drills or their practices so that all of the main reps and everything else go to Rodgers, they're going to be making a mistake because they're going to be faced with a situation where in week 3, week 4, week 7, week 11, they're going to really, really need number 2. Mr. Taco, or whatever that name is there, says he's 41 going on 42. They aren't all Tom Brady. Playing at that age, super rare. No, there's one Brady. There's one Brady, and everybody keeps bringing up Brady as if somehow this disproves everything. No, all it does is prove that Brady is the extraordinary exception to this. Armin says, DK, I think you need to accept that the Steelers are living off the past. This team is in the bottom of the barrel when you look at teams that I have no idea what that means. I'm sorry. Maybe somebody else can help clarify that. But I did give it a shot. I'm not being rude. I literally don't know exactly what it is that you mean. And Denny says Mason earned it when he was here in my book. Same here, Denny. But then, Tomlin let him walk the following season because he got his eyes all wide over Russell Wilson. This is what he does. He doesn't want to deal with the quarterback position. There's nobody happier anywhere right now than Mike Tomlin. And the reason that he's happy is that he no longer has to think about quarterback. That's his mindset. Now he can just focus on the defense. He can just focus on the side of the ball that he's fully invested in. Carl Stock says something about the NBA. It's Pittsburgh, man. NBA. Jay Smith says, DK, as a reporter, this is pure gold for you. I mean, it is and it isn't. I'll give you an example. Does the interest level go up in the Steelers? Of course it does. Does the business, our business, DK Pittsburgh Sports, does it benefit? Of course. I mean, there's more interest in it and everything else. If it's Rodgers, there's more page views. About 45 minutes ago, we heard from our developers who manage our app and website, and they were like, we're spiking up because we're expecting the additional traffic. The additional traffic brings in additional revenue. I got to tell you, I've been doing this for a while. I'm way more interested in the content that we produce than it is the difference between this amount of money and that amount of money. Don't get me wrong. We're a for-profit and we are a profitable company, and this is how we pay our bills and send our kids through school and all that. I mean, me and our whole staff. But at the same time, I'm tired of covering a loser. I'm tired of covering a team that's got no real direction at the most important position on the field. And I've been saying for months, and I'm not about to retract it now, this isn't it. This isn't it. This doesn't do anything to advance the Steelers at the quarterback position toward where they really, really need to be. It just doesn't. You're blocking off a guy who could have had that chance, meaning in Rudolph, and then you're also knocking Will Howard out of the picture for the year, although that one I'm actually kind of, okay with here. Matt calls this a desperate dart throw by Tomlin, and I think it is foolish. I would rather have run with Mason, and I hope every minute that I am proven wrong. This is the head coach. I don't think anybody can really cast doubt on that. This is the head coach, and he's never going to be the one to say, I'm making a statement. In fact, anytime he gets asked questions about something related to making a statement, he'll shoot them down, and he'll shoot them down like that. However, it's actually what this is. It's the whole let's do it. Let's go get it. We have Cam and we have TJ and we have Minka, at least when we let him play anywhere near the line of scrimmage, and we have these other players and everything else. And this is it. We're going for the Super Bowl. This is who we are. We're the Steelers. That's why they still don't have an answer at quarterback, and why Tomlin has yet in his entire NFL career ever produced a single answer at quarterback. Remember that. Has never, ever once done that. Worst case scenario, says DV, would be if Aaron Rodgers gets injured and then Mason plays really well. Oh, geez. Well, we're taking this a little bit too far, but Tomlin automatically puts Rodgers back in without a second thought, and it tanks the season. Well, one crisis at a time. One crisis at a time. Kevin says, does Tomlin's seat get warmer if this whole thing goes south? I mean, disastrous. Benching Fields, letting Fields walk, etc. Tomlin's seat never varies in temperature because the only person who has the finger on the temperature of that chair is Art Rooney, and Rooney just doesn't see negatives when he looks at Tomlin. I don't know how much more obvious that can be than after these past couple of seasons, in particular 2024, and seeing the team just completely collapse. So I don't get into the warmer, hotter seats, whatever. That seat is the same temperature it's been since 2007. I really, really believe that. I don't think it's changed in the slightest. Frank says, I thought Mason Rudolph earned it, but Mike Tomlin doesn't want to be wrong. There's also that. And then Sergio comes at us with an opinion straight out of 2019. Welcome to 2025, Sergio. He says, let's be real. Mason is a great backup, nothing more. Sergio missed that finish to the 2023 season there. I'm teasing you, dude, but not really. Not really. Michael Bobrick says, DK, you're spot on. Rodgers is QB1. But he'll need to earn the respect of his teammates, coaches, and fans. I am concerned about his age and his health, as well as his attitude. Here's one thing you can say, and I mentioned earlier that Rodgers' reputation within the Jets locker room, losers that they were and losers that they will long be. But his reputation in there was of a good teammate. He wasn't somebody who looked down his nose at the guys who were at the fringe of the 53-man and stuff like that. I don't know that he would be going way out of his way like Russ did here last season. And Russ was Mr. Hey, how are you? Welcome to the team. Whoa, hey, okay, we get it. But Rodgers' reputation, including the guys who are currently with the Steelers, like Brandon Eccles, who played with him, is that he's not a bad teammate. That's not what I'm talking about when I get into the intangibles and stuff as to what it is that he has to prove to his teammates. Beanie Bishop intercepted Rodgers twice in a game right over there at Acrisure Stadium last season. Rodgers was cool enough to sign both of those balls for Beanie. And not everybody would do that. He did that. That's all well and good. What I'm referring to here is showing these guys who are laying themselves out for a Super Bowl that he's ready to do the same thing at the same level of intensity and passion. That's totally different than being a swell guy. That's the stuff that, as much time as I spend around the team, I don't see that. I don't get to see that. Okay. I'm not privy to that. Only the players can tell you that. Even the coaches can't do that. Only the players can tell you that. And we're not going to know that, but they will. The PEF comes in and says, Tomlin doesn't have to worry about quarterbacks just like last year, and it didn't end well, but that's a different team. That's right, the PEF. We never, ever connect seasons around here. That way, the accountability factor ends up being minimized, which is something that very much matters to the head coach. He's not at all into any sort of longer term accountability. Dave comes in with a $5 contribution and says, Mason could show up first every day for camp lunch, and the Steelers would ask him to hold on and wait to see if anybody else wants to go first. Can't argue that one. Tan comes in with a couple of dollars and says, who will be the scapegoat at the end of this season? Well, presuming it doesn't go well, there's no way it wouldn't be Tomlin. There's just no way. Tomlin today just branded, if it wasn't already there, his stamp on the 2025 season and to an extent on the Steelers' status of the most important position on the field going into the future. He did that. And he's, he can come at you with, that's why I'm paid the big bucks or handsomely compensated or whatever that was. Kerry comes in with 5 gifts. So does Jay Miller. We appreciate that on this program. Helps to sustain things. Robert Staley comes in as a new member. The way that you can do that is by going to dkps.net/join. I'm going to take one more question here before we bring in Chris Halleck, and that'll come from, I saw it up here, D. Pets, who says, what's the answer to the QB position in your mind, DK? I've been giving that for months now, and that was to go with Mason Rudolph. His teammates love him, trust him. They know he's going to be all in, as I just described that specific context there. They know that. They know that he would see this not as some sort of, happy ending or whatever to the career, but as the opportunity of a lifetime. And they also know that he can play, because they experienced that firsthand. They watched him basically drag them into the playoffs just 2 years ago. So if you do that, and then you have another backup come in, a veteran guy, older guy, and then you have Will Howard at 3, you allow yourself multiple opportunities to see who your quarterback of the future might be, and then head into 2026 with the draft. I've laid that out countless times for anybody who's new today, and I see we're upward of 3,000 viewers in here at the moment. That's the way I've laid it out for a long, long time now. When we come back, we are going to be joined by Chris Halleck, who has made it back to our North for Sales Bureau. That'll be right after this.
At DK Pittsburgh Sports, we take pride in coverage that connects our city's fans to their favorite teams. Now, that connection's stronger than ever. Introducing our all-new state-of-the-art app. Find expert inside reporting and original podcasts. Check live box scores. Track the latest stats. Chat it up with our community of thousands of fans, all in one place. The new app from DK Pittsburgh Sports. Coverage that connects.
That ad that you see us playing, by the way, is not an ad as much as it is an admonition. It's not an advertisement, it's an admonition. It means to go get our app so that you can read the reporting that we offer on there from reporters like Chris Halleck over there. Chris made it back to our North for Sales Bureau.
Penn Township Bureau.
I thought you were in North for Sales.
No. I'm over in Westmoreland County. I'm not in Allegheny County.
North for Sales is Westmoreland County. I'll take that one to the hoop.
It's definitely Allegheny County. I lived in North for Sales.
Wait, now hang on. This show can't proceed.
It is
North for Sales.
It's literally the East Allegheny School District. I went to EA whenever I was in sixth grade.
Westmoreland County. North for Sales Township. It is in Allegheny County. Think you know something. You're sure you know something. And you get blown up here on a live broadcast.
It is right on the line, though. I mean, right on the line between the two.
Chris, there's nothing at all earth-shattering about the development today in the sense that it's been seen as coming. However, isn't it different? Like once it actually becomes a thing. Do you know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, because
it's a different feel.
Because now it is real. Like, yes, he hasn't actually put pen to paper yet, but the fact that he's actually told the team, all right, I'm flying in tomorrow. I'm going to come sign my contract. I'll be there for minicamp. You hadn't heard that before. It's real now. And we've been talking about it. And listen, I've been saying for a couple of months throughout the entire offseason process. And even whenever I was covering the draft, I'm still talking with as many people as I can about, okay, what's going on with this Aaron Rodgers stuff. And the overwhelming consensus that I got was it's a matter of when, not if. And that's exactly what happened. It wasn't a question of whether or not he was actually going to sign. It was, okay, just when is he going to? Is it going to be ahead of the voluntary workout program? Is it going to be ahead of on-field OTAs, or is it going to be ahead of mini camp, training camp? When is it going to be? And now we have an answer.
Damian Ellswick comes in with a $5 contribution and say that Chris's recent Chalk Talk video brought me off the fence. This offense is similar to Matt LaFleur's and Aaron Rodgers. That, of course, being, hearkening back to Green Bay. And Aaron Rodgers is going to be motivated to get that New Jersey Jets stink off of him. That's a hard stink, man. That's like Florida must, But he wouldn't be the first or the last to do it. You can get away from either of the New Jersey teams and wash yourself clean. Saquon Barkley.
Yeah.
I was just about to say. It's funny that we both think of the same guy.
Yeah.
But as soon as he got out of there, I was like, oh, that's right. He was supposed to be Saquon Barkley all along.
Yeah.
Okay, I get it. I get it. But this offense is something that theoretically, because of the similarities here, to be clear here, between LaFleur and Arthur Smith.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Because, let's rewind the tape a little bit. Arthur Smith was, held a bunch of different coaching positions with the Titans for about 7 years. Matt LaFleur comes over after being quarterbacks coach with the Texans under Kyle Shanahan, then worked under Kyle Shanahan and his dad, Mike Shanahan, with Washington, then was also offensive coordinator under Sean McVay with the Rams. We're talking all kinds of direct Shanahan ties. He goes to the Titans to become their offensive coordinator in 2018. Arthur Smith learns a lot from him in just that 1 year. Then Matt LaFleur, again, after 1 year, becomes head coach of the Packers and tries to take Arthur Smith with him to Green Bay to become his offensive coordinator. And Arthur Smith instead takes the promotion to become the Titans offensive coordinator. But you can sure bet that Arthur Smith based a lot of what he ended up building in Tennessee off of what he learned from LaFleur, which is all kinds of Shanahan stuff, which is why you see a lot of Shanahan stuff in Arthur Smith's current offense with the Steelers. And so that kind of stuff will not be foreign territory to Aaron Rodgers because Rodgers played for 4 years under Matt LaFleur. So when you talk about a quarterback who can attack the middle of the field out of play action, Rodgers has plenty of experience doing it at a high level too.
David Quinn gives us a little bit of a pause here. He says, I must be too old to figure out this membership thing. I can't find a renewal button to go from gift to member. I don't exactly know how the YouTube.
You have to not have it. It has to be expired.
Yeah, it has to be expired. So if seeing that you're operating off of a gift membership, it expires after 1 month. And after that, we'd be happy to have you. Just go to dkps.net /join. Crisis resolved. And wow, we have so many comments. It's tough to keep up with them. Almost 3,000.
It's crazy. Yeah. I knew it was going to be crazy today.
3,000 people in this show. Says a lot has been talked about how much of an impact signing DK Metcalf has for the offense, but nobody talks about how he affects the defense, i.e. Porter, Trice, Bishop. Oh, wow. Hang on a second. I didn't think we'd get a single question today. That's what's throwing me here. That wouldn't be about Aaron Rodgers. Like, what?
Yeah.
He's really not going to bring up Rodgers in this. There's no question. Having to cover Metcalf is going to be a big thing. Now, that's going to be mostly Slay, unless I'm mistaken, right? In practice, Chris?
Well, Slay wasn't there. He hasn't been there all week.
No. I'm talking about when they get to it.
Oh yeah, like when they get to. Sorry, I was reading comments. Can you say that again? I was reading comments.
That's where I am too. Just I don't know. For once, we actually have the right to stay on Rodgers for the day.
We actually do. Yeah.
Yes. Metcalf is going to make everybody better, including his fellow wide receivers, by the way. So it's not just iron sharpening iron. By the way, he'll also make Aaron Rodgers a better quarterback.
They've already worked together.
David Quinn. Look at that. See, that's how it's done. Look at that. We solved the problem. David comes in as a new member here. Pop says, are the Steelers better than last year's New Jersey Jets? I mean,
oh my gosh.
They're 10-3. I mean, we can't just wipe that out. That actually did happen. Yeah. It's not just the life is not about the last bad thing you saw.
Yeah. The Jets were terrible last year. Like overall, like everybody wants to just, I think there's a small section. I do think it is a small section of fans who think that because the Jets were trash last year, that Aaron Rodgers is now also trash. Like it doesn't have to work like that. The Jets could be a terrible football team and just Aaron Rodgers, it wasn't a fit. And it obviously was not a fit. He can have even all of his guys with him, but if this is why the Steelers wanted to bring Rodgers in, and even then Rodgers is one who wanted to come in and have that conversation. But Mike Tomlin and Omar Khan literally said, Michigan Pro Day, which we always go to. No, Tara Lawson, you go. We'll meet with Aaron Rodgers just to see if this is a good fit.
Forgot about that. That's right.
Yeah.
I forgot about that. And they ended up spending several hours. I want to say it was 6 hours or something like that at the facility.
Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers also, by the way, was given the ultimate preferential treatment when he showed up at the facility. And Chris knows exactly what I'm going to say here because he was given a primo parking spot. And those are like gold at the facility. There's so little parking over there. You know, the only other person, to my knowledge, in franchise history who's gotten good parking over there is Ben. Ben would do that thing where he would go around all the rest of the cars and right up by the maintenance vehicles and just leave his car. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Okay. And it's like, that's what when you've really made it with the Pittsburgh Steelers, you get to park well. Kick says, DK and Chris, do you think that Will Howard will benefit from sitting behind and learning from Aaron Rodgers? Well, Howard is going to be behind Mason. Mason, as I've been saying for a while, if you ever want to talk about your model example of a quarterback who's going to be inspired to make a younger quarterback better, it's going to be Mason Rudolph, okay?
Yeah.
And Will Howard has already said things to that effect about Mason. And plus, we can see it, Chris. We can see the interactions that the two of them have. Mason's not out there wagging his finger, but they're working in tandem. You can see that. Now, Rodgers and his dealings with other quarterbacks, I have a feeling that a lot of the portrayal of Rodgers and how he deals with other quarterbacks is going to be colored by the way he responded to the Packers acquiring in the draft Jordan Love.
Yeah.
Which was a majorly negative reaction on his part. That doesn't mean that he was a bad teammate in New Jersey with his quarterbacks.
I mean,
was he? I don't know. I actually don't have this answer. I don't know.
I don't have that answer either, and I'm going to have to do some digging on it. But obviously, Ben Roethlisberger didn't have a great reaction to when Mason Rudolph was drafted.
Oh, one of the worst.
Yeah. So Aaron Rodgers would not be the first franchise quarterback to have another quarterback drafted. And granted, Aaron Rodgers should have taken even more offense because Jordan Love was drafted in the first round. It's not like Love was a third-round pick like Rudolph was. The Packers were sending a clear sign of being like, yeah, dude, we're going to take this guy in the first round because we think this is our next guy. It's like, whoa. All right. Well, I'm kind of still Aaron Rodgers, but all right, and then he ended up winning another MVP after Matt LaFleur came along. So, yeah, I do think, listen, Will Howard just getting to sit in the same quarterback room every time the quarterbacks go to meetings and to hear how Aaron Rodgers goes about his process every single day. I mean, this is ultimately, at the end of the day, one of the 5, if not 5, 10 greatest quarterbacks of all time. Of all time. That's not who he is now.
At the time that he was right. That does not mean that that's what he is now any more than because another one of those top 5, top 3, however you want to put it.
Right.
We saw Peyton Manning at the end. We saw him overcoming, just having not a bad arm. No arm. He couldn't execute a throw from me to the camera.
Yeah.
Okay. And yet he somehow pulled it off because he was so much smarter than everybody else on the field.
That defense was also pretty nasty too. The 15 Broncos defense was pretty stout. But just getting to be in that same room with him and to see how he goes about his process every single day is valuable in and of itself. And Will Howard was always going to be the number 3 this year. I think there has been some hope that if Rodgers didn't sign, that whoever they would bring in, that Howard would still have some sort of chance to be the number 2. He was never going to be the number 2. That was never going to be the plan. Even Rooney himself said that the plan for Will Howard in year 1 is going to be a developmental role. That's not a number 2 quarterback. A number 2 quarterback is somebody who has to be ready to go at all times in case the starter goes. That's not developmental. Developmental means you're number 3 and you're most likely the emergency quarterback on Sundays.
Now, I want to. There's one point that I really want to make here today, independent of any of the questions or comments that we get in the live chat today, Chris. This is just between me and you because we've discussed this, including off camera, and that's the state of Rodgers' arm. Okay, because I'm just triggering myself here, remembering what happened to Manning. Manning had the neck issue and he had all kinds of stuff going on here. Now, Rodgers has been banged up himself.
He has. Yep.
But the arm, when you look at his injuries, and there was a long list just last year, even though he played in all 17 games, the arm doesn't come up.
No.
And when you see the arm on film, when you see the arm, and I'm not talking about the 4-time MVP, I'm talking about 2024. What do you see?
Well, I am going to be doing a chalk talk on Aaron Rodgers for tomorrow. Like I'm going to be recording that tonight.
Just his arm.
But I have already done a chalk talk on Aaron Rodgers' arm. I can't do it again, but I can always reshare it again. It's still live, man. He's still got some juice in that arm. And I specifically went to the second half of the season last year to go through some of the tape because, you know, you can look at September when you're fresh out of training camp and everything. How is it looking whenever you're in November, December? How is it looking then? He had this one throw, which he had to do a play action fake and then roll to his right. And as he was doing that, he's rolling and without setting his feet, because Aaron Rodgers almost never sets his feet, even whenever he's in typical drop back. Without setting his feet while still rolling to his right, he throws across his body from about the 20-yard line, and he hits Devontae Adams in the back of the end zone. So about 30 yards downfield on the money, and it is a seed straight over all of the defenders in the way. That's not a dead arm. That's a live arm.
Yeah, I know it. Those are the passes that you look for. It's not the prayers. It's not the bombs. It's not the can he throw 60 yards downfield. It's can you make the throw that needs to be made at the time that it needs to be made.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there were examples of that, no question, from the 2024 season. Damian crosses the line here. He says the Jets are an objectively terribly run organization from top to bottom. Dude, number 1 record in the NHL. They made it to the Stanley Cup playoffs. They struggled a little bit. I'm really tired of the Jets bashing around here.
Yeah, if you want DK to talk about the New York Jets or New Jersey Jets, you got to put NY or NJ in front of Jets. Otherwise, he's going to default to the Winnipeg Jets.
Because they're good. A kick says Aaron Rodgers is our QB. Now I have to cheer for him and pray that he taps into some of that old man magic and wins it all for us. You know, the winning it all concept alone, Chris, is going to be worth raising here because there's no other reason to do this. We've said that all along. It's a 1-year deal for a reason, both from the team perspective and from the player's perspective. Do you think Rodgers asked them for 2 years? No. Rodgers is absolutely coming to Pittsburgh on his own terms. And that's one of the reasons. I think that's one of the questions that, I mean, if it's not asked in the first 2, I'm going to pipe up and ask it. You know, why are you here? Why are you in Pittsburgh? You know, you've made so much money. You've won a Super Bowl. You are 4-time MVP. Why did you come to Pittsburgh? You know, even for just 1 year, is it just wanting to wash the stink of being, you know, with the Jets organization for 2 years? Or is it because you really truly believe that you can win another Super Bowl with this team? Is that the motivation? You know, like, what is the motivation for being here? And then from the Steelers' perspective, they obviously get that from Rodgers. Otherwise, they wouldn't sign him, because their goal for 2025, as it is every year, is to try to win a Super Bowl. And the whole reason why they didn't just sign Mason Rudolph and say, okay, we're good to go, is because they see a higher ceiling and a better chance to do that if Aaron Rodgers is their quarterback instead. They do. I mean, there's no other way of looking at it. And you know what? That's the sort of thing that's going to play real well at the press conference. And it's going to play real well on the Trobe. Because now what you're doing is you're telling everybody on campus, everybody with a helmet on campus, that, hey, this is it. Like, not it as in it's the end of civilization. It's it as in this is the year that we're looking at. You're going to have, no matter what you think of him, you're going to have that guy over there, the 4-time MVP, one time. You got one chance to make something happen with him. And what's going to be your excuse? That's the other thing that comes up with the win it all. What comes up is, what are you looking at here in terms of the rest of the roster? Is it that level? Is he enough of a difference maker? You know what I'm saying? With the rest of the roster, we say all the time, the only question mark is slot corner. It's actually not.
Well, let's put it this way. Let's play a game in which Aaron Rodgers is not the quarterback of the Steelers. Let's say we can magically pluck Josh Allen from the Bills and put him as quarterback of the Steelers with this roster. Are the Steelers a Super Bowl contender? I think they are. Now, Josh Allen's also the reigning MVP. So he's going to make a lot of teams a Super Bowl contender just by being on the roster. What if you take one of the kind of tier 2 guys like Dak Prescott and put him on the roster? Are the Steelers a Super Bowl contender, or at least a contender to win at least one, if not multiple playoff games? I think so. I think Dak Prescott's a really good quarterback, and he's in that second tier below like the Mahomes and the Allens and Jackson and Burrow and all those guys. So where do you put Aaron Rodgers then? Is Aaron Rodgers in that second tier still? Is he in the third tier? Is he near the bottom of the league of all the starters? I think that will kind of help define where the Steelers are as an actual team. I think with Aaron Rodgers, the Steelers are a team that can go at least 10-7 like they did last season, because I think Aaron Rodgers is a better quarterback and better fit for the Steelers than Russell Wilson was. And when you look at everything else that they've done, they've bolstered the defensive line, and you look at all the other things they've done to the running back room and so on and so forth. I think it's a better team than it was last year. So I would say that they're in a better spot than they were in last year.
Listen, now that we talked about Rodgers' arm, the legs are coming up, and the legs are not the same.
No, you're not going to be at 41.
Would dispute that. Yeah, there's the player that you go back to and remembering that he could run all over the backfield and seek out his pass. That's not there.
He's not completely immobile, but he can't move the way he used to.
And I don't know that you actually, if you want to preserve him, that you want him moving around all the time.
Right.
Especially with the young, still really young offensive line, the more predictability that you have. And this was one of the reasons that I was advocating for Rudolph, is that where he's going to be. And the linemen love that sort of thing. They really do.
Mm-hmm.
Brett Caruso comes in with a contribution, says, "Gents, love the show. It's daily for me." Appreciate that. Now that Aaron Rodgers is here, who would you target for WR2? Do you think that they'll ask his preference? My answer to the final question, Chris, is yes.
Yeah.
Okay, this is not a normal situation here. This isn't you leave us to do the bidding here. If he has someone out there with whom he has either established a relationship or even a distant belief in, like he said, I'd always wished I could have played with that guy or something like that, you can do that. But the one thing I'm going to playfully amend here for you, Brett, is WR2 could also become TE1. Just throwing it out there. Just throwing it out there. Meaning Jonnu Smith.
Right. I'm still not convinced that Jonnu Smith is really going to happen, but we'll see.
Well, I don't know if it's going to happen. I said
right.
Could be.
Yeah. Truck Driven says, "Welcome to Pittsburgh, Adam Lazard." Honestly, of all it would not surprise me whatsoever, but of all the potential options, based off of what Rodgers would want and then also what the Steelers could want, and then looking at all the potential situations, the name Romeo Doubs just keeps popping up for me.
It sure does. And not because of Green Bay, because that was after Rodgers' time, but
no. He played with Doubs for a year.
He did? Oh, okay.
I think for a year. At least one. So I do think, there's familiarity there. The Packers could be willing to unload him. Now, if the Steelers are going to require Romeo Doubs, it's most likely going to have to be with a contract extension, because he's heading into the final year of his rookie deal. So there's that to deal with if you do that, but you obviously wouldn't make that trade and give away the capital to get him if you weren't necessarily planning to do that. Now, I don't think Gabe Davis is going to be and Shaka Steele says it because I'm the one who broke the news today. Gabe Davis news swept under the rug. He did visit the Steelers and did leave without a contract. So I'm not anticipating that happening, but it's usually not a good sign when a player leaves without signing a contract. So we'll see what happens, but I do think Rodgers is going to be at least asked about what are your give me a list of three to five guys that you'd like to have next to DK Metcalf.
No, it's not going to happen. But Cody comes in and supports me on this. As long as we were going to bring up the Jets today, the Connor Hellebuck is looking pretty fraudulent in the postseason. You know what? A lot of things happened to Winnipeg that weren't just about Hellebuck and his early struggles. Obviously, the tragedy with the Mark Scheifele family and everything else that affected the team. Not everybody was at full health and everything. But the Jets are going to be back next year. You don't just win the NHL's overall standings and then become a lesser team. They do have younger guys, Cole Perfetti and so forth, who can become better. And if you're going to keep bringing up the Jets, I'm going to keep doing this. Hovain says the New Jersey Giants. They're both
Also,
New Jersey. This isn't like an opinion on my part.
No, they
This
play
is like,
New Jersey.
This is like, I'm not going to make two geographical errors in the same show.
Yeah, they play in New Jersey.
I don't know where North for Sales is.
I mean, but I can again attest, like I literally grew up, about 20, 30 minutes from East Rutherford, like old Giant Stadium. I went there for a couple of Giants games, I think one Jets game, and then my dad had season tickets to the, dating myself here, New York, New Jersey Metro Stars when the MLS first started. And I used to go to soccer games there all the time. So I know exactly where they play. It's New Jersey.
Cody has does have a good football question. He says, what would Rodgers have to do this season for DK to admit that it was a good idea to bring him in? This is easy, man. Go win.
Football games?
Go win. And I don't mean win as a passenger. Win.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't have to be your 4-time MVP level. Nobody would be unreal. No, you'd be insane. But be a committed member of the team. Mm-hmm. And it's not me that you have to show that to. It's not you either, Cody. It's not Chris. It's not anybody on the outside. He has to show that to the guys who are putting their careers on the line, blocking for him. He has to show that to the wide receivers that are running their routes to their fullest.
Yeah.
For him. He has to show that to the coaches that are working 16, 17-hour days. He has to show that to the defensive guys that are trying to get off the field so that he can spend more time out there. He has to show that to them. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to repeat this. If you came in late, they're the only ones that are going to know that. That's not going to be something where we see, look, he beat the Jets in the opener. He got revenge, whatever that even means in those games. Okay. He can win.
Yeah.
But he also can show them that he's something. If he does that, what do you think I'm going to do? Cling to something? I am skeptical in the moment. If you think that, then you haven't been following my work for very long. I don't sit there stuck on one stance or hot take or whatever. I'm a reporter.
Yeah.
I'm a reporter who gives opinions, but ideally, it's based on real things. And I say this all the time, when circumstances change, so do stances. Nothing's changed yet. So, there's a good way to go here. Hayden Daddy says, would Josh Allen also play corner?
I think this is like response to like Josh Allen. Like like if you were to magically put Josh Allen on the roster.
Oh, okay.
I think. I don't know. Maybe I'm just completely. Maybe it's over my head too. But just to add the one thing, add something to that when we talk about adding Rodgers, and even if they don't win a Super Bowl, what's the point then? What if you do get to the playoffs and you win at least one playoff game? Or what if because like the way the cards fall through injuries or seeding, whatever, you get all the way to the AFC Championship and you lose? Do you think that stuff is not valuable to not just Cam Hayward or TJ Watt, but to the young guys who just came in, to the players who have maybe been here for a few years, and just to see what it's like for the Steelers to try to actually make a legitimate run, especially when you're right about to most likely go draft your franchise quarterback next year? Like, this stuff matters. It absolutely matters.
There's a fair amount of discussion about whether or not Rodgers wants to throw over the middle or can throw over the middle, and how that'll affect the tight ends. Okay, to reiterate this, in his prime, there wasn't a throw anywhere that Rodgers wasn't making.
Right.
So there's not like there was an oh no zone for him. Okay. Now, again, I'm not going to be who on earth would voluntarily watch either of the NFL's, Jets or Giants, if they didn't have to. So I can't say how he's done in that regard in recent years, Chris.
I have to look more at the actual data from the Jets, but I did look at his 4 years with Matt LaFleur because I think that, yes, he was younger, but it's not like he was a spring chicken at that time either. Aaron Rodgers was still in his mid to late 30s. He doesn't throw to the middle of the field a lot based off of those 4 years. It's also not like never either. But when he does throw to the middle of the field, especially at a play action, the numbers are ridiculous. He had 1 year, and I think it was 21. So I think it was after he won MVP, because I think he won MVP in 2020. I think in 21, he had a 158.1 passer rating when targeting the middle of the field out of play action. Like, that's 0.2 away from being perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and even the following year, he was like 106. It's like, oh my, what a drop off. It's still 106 passer rating when you're targeting the middle of the field out of play action. He can do it. And these are concepts that Arthur Smith also runs. So there will be familiarity. Now, again, I have to look at what the Jets did. And you also have to take into account that the Jets were a terrible football team, just like we had to put that through the lens of when we were evaluating Mason Rudolph last year. We had to put that through the lens that he was on a even worse Titans team. So you have to put things through the right contextual lens in order to really, kind of go through the data fairly.
Ted says here, I sure hope after all this drama, he doesn't go down in camp and this was all for naught. I mean, I don't imagine anyone is looking at Rodgers and going, man, I really hope he gets hurt, including, by the way, Mason.
Right.
Okay. That's just that's not how football goes.
Right.
No,
I mean, the players have done a really good job of being kind of mum on this and not really saying much.
This is true.
Even off the record.
Even off the record.
But I
have really tried.
But based off of just the little bit that I do know, I have a hard time thinking that there's going to be a large group of players or even a small group of players that are just going to not just be like, I can't believe he's here. Like, no, they're trying to win too. Like, and that's still a 4-time MVP that's joining the team right now. I don't care if he's only 40, if he's 41 years old and he's not the same exact guy he used to be. That's still a guy with a really high pedigree that's coming into the locker room.
Captain Crunch says, how long until our shop here downtown starts selling Aaron Rodgers jerseys? Oh, I have that answer. That will be a never, says the boss. Not because of him. Yeah, we just don't sell jerseys because stuff happens. And then you're stuck with like 20 of these things. And, somebody's either been traded or they're lost for the season or whatever. And here is Exhibit A right there.
Oh.
And you know why she's showing you this? Because this dummy right here, meaning me, ordered a whole bunch of 3XL.
If you think he's making it up.
Kenny Pickett models.
All 3XL. If you like it, you can have it for free.
She gives them out for free to anybody who asks, and they're still here, even though they're free.
Honestly, when I saw the 8, I really did think for just a second that Rodgers was the name on the back too.
the PEF says, who is Aaron's roommate at Latrobe? That's easy. The housekeeper.
I was going to say it. He will be one of the few players, just like Russell Wilson was last year. So don't think that this is just some Aaron Rodgers is the only guy who gets this kind of treatment. But there are usually only a few guys who don't really have a roommate, and Rodgers will be one of them.
He will absolutely be one of those.
Ben was one too. Sorry.
Yeah, I think Troy was too. I could be wrong on that. Luke says, will having Rodgers be good? Oh, an AB. But AB did it his way. AB couldn't find a 5-star hotel in the immediate Latrobe area, so he just basically created one. Luke says, will having Rodgers be good for the offensive line? A veteran quarterback who's seen almost every defense and can call out blitzes is a very good point.
Yep.
Shift pass protection has to help, right? Yes. I'm going to jump Chris on this one. Yes. And that's a factor that we don't bring up often enough. When we're talking about holding the pocket or quick releases, The main thing you're going to see from Rodgers is quick releases. I don't know if he had the fastest release time in the NFL last season, but I know he was top 2 or 3.
I have it in my story that's been pre-written, and I just updated this morning, by the way.
And I came here, so I haven't had a chance to read it yet.
I did have it on there. I think of all, I'm trying to pull it up right now. It's near the top of the league.
Yeah, it's fast. But on top
here we
of
go.
that,
Here we
go
go. Last season, Rodgers' average time to throw was 2.69 seconds, the third fastest time among quarterbacks who played at least 12 games.
Now, you know what that means? That basically makes him the equivalent of a volleyball setter. Okay, he gets the snap and just catapults the ball somewhere. It's really, really fast. Think of Ben in Ben's final year when the team started out 11-0 and all that. Think of how quickly Ben got rid of the ball. That's how quickly it'll happen. Now he is, and again, Chris mentioned this, and this I have seen from him in his 2024 season. He is still capable of the rollout. He is still capable of holding it an extra little bit and buying himself enough time to make a deep pass. But yes, being able to call out, to work, specifically with Isaac Seumalo on the line and make sure that he's got all that stuff aligned. And taking charge, too.
Yeah.
That's another trait of his that goes back. I mean, we identify that probably more with Peyton Manning among those quarterbacks because he had Omaha. Okay. But Rodgers very much, when he was at the line of scrimmage for whoever he was playing for, you weren't wondering who was in charge of the process.
I think I remember watching a podcast a couple of months ago, and Matt LaFleur was talking, and Rodgers was doing a whole bunch of stuff at the line, and LaFleur wasn't certain that Rodgers was going to get the snap off before the play clock expired, and he called timeout, and he said he has never had Rodgers more pissed off at him than that one time, because Rodgers literally had, and they went through it later, because Rodgers literally I had everything set up for the play, and I was going to get the snap off, and you called timeout. Like he was like, and LaFleur was laughing about it during the podcast, but he's like, dude, he was like, and that's one of the, and he said that was one of those lessons I had to learn being a young coach. Like, okay, this is a all-time great quarterback doing his thing. Like, I got to trust that he's going to get everything set up and then snap the ball on time. It's just funny to hear those kind of stories, but yes, he has that ability. He's seen everything that this league can possibly throw at a quarterback.
Danny's asking about our mug, whether or not he can get the mug online. The answer to that is yes. I'm about to put up the link for it. It's right here. It's a mouthful, but take a screen grab or something. Oh my God, she misspelled Pittsburgh in the web address. Okay, ignore that she misspelled Pittsburgh. She knows how to spell Pittsburgh. You didn't?
No.
Who made the web address for the mugs?
What are you even putting up there?
Danny wants to buy a mug.
No, but what is that weird address?
It's Shopify. That's how you get it online.
Just take it off the screen.
Why? It's how you get the mug.
There's other ways to get it.
David wants Tyler Boyd as WR2.
No, they have enough slot receivers, man.
And that's what Tyler's played there. I mean, I think we're thinking of Tyler from at his Pitt days. He was out wide a lot. But when he got to the NFL, especially once he got a couple of certain other dudes there.
Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, that's pretty good guys to play behind.
Hey, Tyler, I got an idea for you here. Why don't you go ahead and slide over here and see what these two guys can do here. James Richards says Aaron Rodgers threw for 300 more yards than our combined quarterbacks did last year. Look, no. The idea isn't what he did in 2024, what he did in 2020, or certainly not what he did in his MVP years, okay? Mm-hmm. The idea is what he can do in 2025 and what he can do in this circumstance. Nobody's making these are faux manufactured arguments of whether or not he was this or he did. We know all of that here.
Yeah.
Brett Caruso says the middle of the field's been non-existent since Ben. Between Pat Freiermuth, Calvin Austin, Roman Wilson, Darnell Washington, do we finally see the middle of the field come to life? We can say it every year.
Yeah. Okay. I think you have a better chance of it. Again, last year, even though Arthur Smith, and I broke all this down previously in an article on DKPittsburghSports.com, Arthur Smith wants to attack the middle of the field out of play action. Now, not all the time, because you have to be able to attack all areas of the field. But it's hard to do that when you have a quarterback who is unwilling to throw to the middle of the field because he's not comfortable doing it all the time. So these concepts that Arthur Smith likes to call out of play action, Rodgers has ran them before under Matt LaFleur for 4 years. It's not foreign to him. So you have a better chance of utilizing the middle of the field. But again, we can talk about everything in theory. It's what it actually looks like when they actually get on the football field.
We're going to take a couple more here today. We've already run a little long, and there's a lot of writing and stuff that we have to do and everything. I'm going to see. We have so many that are starred. Chloe Smith just says, and this is fair because there's a long show. I'm late. DK, can I get your reaction? You're going to get one from both of us here. Chris, you go first.
Listen, I think that now that it's I'm not done, but it's known that he's coming. I think the Steelers are a better football team than they were in 2024. When you look at everything that they've done to the roster with the wide receiver position, even, like trading away George Pickens, and you add DK Metcalf, they're most likely going to add a second one. The running back position, it's a better fit for what Arthur Smith wants to do. They've bolstered defensive tackle. Quarterback was the missing piece when it came to everything else. And this is exactly what the Steelers thought for just one season. And that's what the contract's going to be. It's just one season. We have a long-term plan. That's been clear from Omar Khan. They are all about loading up, trying to go get a quarterback next year, possibly. But if for 2025, they thought that Aaron Rodgers was the best chance that they had if they weren't going to sign Justin Fields. They didn't sign Justin Fields. They pivoted to Rodgers immediately. That's where they've been stuck for almost 3 months. And now it's actually happening. And that's the bottom line. It's not about my opinion. This is about what the Steelers think when it comes to their best chance to try to win a Super Bowl, because that is what Mike Tomlin wants to do. He wants to win a Super Bowl. He thinks that Aaron Rodgers is the best option to get him there, because that's what just Tomlin wants. Contrary to any actual belief, he wants to win, and he thinks Rodgers can get him there.
My reaction is a whole lot simpler, Chloe. He needs to prove something. He needs to prove that he's here for this team at this time for this broader objective. And he doesn't need to prove it to me or to Chris or to Chloe or to any of the 3,500 people that are tuned in right now. He just doesn't. He has to prove it to Cam Hayward, to TJ Watt, to everybody who's in that building. He has to show them that, hey, listen, it's 1 year, but in that 1 year, I'm a Pittsburgh Steeler. I'm all about this. Okay. That's not me sticking stubbornly to a stance or anything. He has all that in his control. He can show up next week, presumably Monday, and then, along comes Tuesday and mini camp gets started, and he can show what he has shown in the past. This would not be foreign territory for him. He's won a Super Bowl. He's won 4 MVPs. You don't do that by being some sort of permanent or perpetual weirdo / outcast. You just don't. Okay. There's something in there. There's something in there that made him fight through multiple, the list is really long, injuries through the 2024 season and participate in all 17 meaningless, mind you, games that the other Jets played. There's something in you that does that. So whatever it is that his persona is, and whether it's radio, TV, video, on the beach, whatever you have, there's also a switch that very evidently gets flipped when he's at a football field. That's what I want to see. That's my stance on this right now. I'm not going to be making this a Rodgers versus Rudolph thing or whatever here. The Steelers made their decision. This is who their quarterback is. Now he gets evaluated by everybody. And I think that is fair territory. So, guys, I appreciate everybody being along with us for this extra long episode. If you hang with us only on the YouTube channel, we will be going through some business that we have to take care of. Yeehaw! Look at the numbers. And it's funny. One thing funny about these live shows is that they get such an immediate impact. Like we marvel at that all the time. Like I don't even. Do they get like an alert or something? Do you get like a notice that says, "Hey, this live thing is up"? You know?
Yeah. I mean, I'm. You know, I have like a personal YouTube account. Yeah, if you're a subscriber, you get a notification when a channel goes live or something. So yeah.
Well, by all means, if you're seeing us, for the first time or whatever, I would imagine we've got a few first timers today. Make sure that you're both subscribed and that you become a member of our YouTube channel. And the way to do that is to go to dkps.net/join, but also to hit the little she's mentioning here the subscriber bell that makes sure that you turn on alerts so that whenever we do go live, we're not obnoxious. We don't do it all the time. That'd be weird. But we have 2,516 of those members right now. I'm going to go through some people to thank here. Chris, Cybok came in with 5 gift memberships. Elaine's been with us for 25 months. Thanks for that, Elaine. That's one of the higher numbers. She's put up with a lot of crappy episodes along the way. I mean, let's call it what it is, right?
Oh yeah, you have about 1,000 on these.
No. I don't want to bat like the Pirates do either. But Brett came in with several contributions, and those were appreciated here. Luke with $5. Our friend the Pef wanted to know Aaron's roommate in Latrobe. He knew better than that. Dropped a couple of bucks. Joshua Dobbs with a couple here. Our good friend of the family, Greg Haas, came in with 5 here. Russell dropped 5 gifts. Matthew dropped 10. Russell also, by the way, was celebrating his 2-year anniversary as a member, as a supporter of what it is that we're doing here. What'd she say? She loves Russell's avatar. Yeah, Russell, just, I don't know, maybe that's just his feeling today because Aaron Rodgers' side. Just a dark day.
He's in mourning.
The best comment we got from anybody today was from our own staffer, Jose Negron, who was over covering OTAs with Chris, and him and Chris are working diligently all morning to produce all kinds of high quality written content for you on DK Pittsburgh Sports. And then
I literally broke news today on the Gabe Davis stuff, like leaving without a contract, and then Rodgers has to steal my thunder.
That always feels intentional, doesn't it?
He definitely did it to Chris.
That happens so often. I felt really good, by the way, about this Troy Fautanu column that I wrote. I think it was overnight, Tuesday night, whatever. After the Tuesday session, great talk with Fautanu. With it
was a good column too. Yeah.
Cal, I appreciate that. Calvin Austin, but you can tell I don't get the credit for that, though. They were unbelievable. And how about Corey Trice's comments in there? Are you kidding me?
Yeah. He's a good
Fantastic. And I'm thinking, all right, we've got a really good column sitting on top of our site. I'm going to leave it up there all day, and the Penguins go and hire a coach at noon.
That's right.
It felt intentional.
Yeah.
It felt like, wait a second, really? You couldn't have waited like just a couple of hours, get that thing a little more time up there at the top. Eric is asking about money. We have no idea. When we do,
I mean, he said I'll play for 10. I'll play for 10M. So we'll see what the actual.
If he plays for 10, they can go get Jonnu Smith and they can do other stuff.
They can go get whatever they want. They got plenty of cap space. And then whenever they do sign TJ to an extension, it will likely increase cap space this year.
Al says he likes listening to DK Pittsburgh Sports over all these mindless ESPN talking heads, whatever. Just separate who covers the team and who doesn't.
Yeah,
that's it. And in fairness, ESPN, they have a full-time reporter on Steelers in Brooke Pryor. So, but what you're talking about here isn't that. You're talking about the talking heads and the ones that just sit in a cubicle and manufacture stuff that's aimed at making you mad. If that's your thing, and apparently it is for a lot of people, you go right ahead and consume that. Don't compare it to us. Not you. In general, we're just in a different business here. We actually cover the team. We're there. Zach Hall came in with 5 gifts. Barber came in with 5 gifts. Where you been, Barber? What's that all about? Not with the contributions. Just haven't seen you here in a while.
Well, he's been all through the comments in this one.
Yeah.
This one, yeah.
Yeah.
Barbara, what hasn't?
I haven't seen my.
He hasn't come through the door.
I haven't seen my
For a
friend the
while.
butthole for a while, man.
He's
what's
training for a new job. Maybe he's
Oh,
training in a
Barbara's
new job.
training for a new job. He's not gonna be a barber anymore.
Well, maybe he's also barber. I don't know.
Oh, okay. Yeah, the butthole hasn't been in. What's that?
That's true. Or he's the other guy.
I think butthole is actually Chris.
It's really not me.
Played a great big joke on us.
It's really not me.
Do you ever notice though that butthole comes in and goes, I really like Chris's work. This is chalk talk. It's awesome. Oh, yeah. It's just,
Who's the other one? The reverse butthole or whatever.
I don't know. They could all be the same butthole. It's a community butthole. Oh boy, I'm getting myself in trouble here. Chris is ducking out of this particular episode.
He's so funny. He's so easy.
Damien says she doesn't think anything I say is funny. Just so we're clear on this one here. Damien came in with $5 to Leroy. Wants a darkness retreat to process this news. Leroy's not happy about this. He dropped a couple of bucks to make sure that got shared on the program here. Jay Miller and Kerry both came in with $5. Tarnsky with a couple of bucks. Dave got us started with $5 today. And I'd be remiss if I ever bypass Kerry, who's always coming in with one. Robert Staley was a new member. Thank you guys so much. I can tell you that we're about to have a new Matt Williamson podcast.
It's already up.
In fact, she says, she's the one to put it up, that it is up now. So as soon as you're done here, this is the way Matt Williamson works. Major news breaks, and he just goes, microphone. Yeah. And he puts something up. So if you want to hear Matt's wisdom on this, actually, to be honest with you, that's what I'm going to do next. I really want to hear what he has to say. So otherwise, we'll be back with another one of these tomorrow. And okay, I'll tell you then. But there's going to be another one of these tomorrow. All right.